Hello.
Hey there.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Great. Waiting for this interview. Everybody's asking. They're excited to meet Natasha, systems chick, making everything work without stress.
Well, okay. So let's start then. We have 20 minutes. Let's see how much we cover. If anything, we can always do part 2 or something. But yeah.
Okay, I can cut it or we can edit it together. I will send you. So before I put it on YouTube and website, is it
Okay.
okay?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's begin. Hello, everyone. My name is Jelena. Back from radio days, I used to ask many questions and learn many things and have interesting people around me. I'm founder of internet marketing agency. We offer digital services and advices in a wide range of areas. We help businesses to grow and develop, and we are focused on journey from entrepreneur to enterprise. In my communication, people always talk about lack of time, many problems, chaos in their life. My friend told me last week, oh, we have to ask our granny to keep our children so we can continue work in late hours and all that mess when you don't have time for anything and you would like to have like day to be 48 hours long instead of working 8 hours or less. So people ask me about how do I do it, who helps me. And last year I met Natasha. I saw her on Creative Live. She did Evernote training, and I was so amazed. Hello, Natasha.
Hi, Elena.
Can you tell us how you recognize all those systems and how do you do such a great work of putting everything in place? Can we do that?
Well, for me, it started out of need basically because I was born in back then in USSR, and so I lived in Cyprus for a while. I traveled a lot, but in the end, we moved to Belgium, where my husband is from, and my son was very little. He was just 6 or 7 months old when I decided to start my business because I couldn't find a job here, regular job. So I said, okay, I'll stay with my son and I'll do this online business because it seemed like very appealing solution because I get to stay at home and I don't commute and everything is great. The only thing was that I've never had a business before, let alone an online business. So it was a really, really huge adjustment. It was a really steep learning curve because I had to learn everything from social media to just like having a website, managing a website, writing copy, communicating, and just figuring out what I wanted to do. My original idea was that I would be a marketing consultant because that's what I did in my corporate days, and that was something that I was good at. But what I faced in the beginning was that I could simply not get to the bottom of my to-do list because like things kept piling up, and because I had all those things and the small baby and the household and this and that, I was in the new country, I was studying the language, I was just like, it was like those, not even 48, it was, I gotta do like 60 whatever hours a week where I could not even find like time to sleep. So to me it was really, really discouraging because I've always been an organized person and I've managed projects before, so like, I knew how I could do that in this like very structured environment. But at home, it was really kind of just like, where do I even go and where I start? So a lot of times I would just end up cleaning windows because like that was clear. Okay, window is dirty, window is clean. Like no mystery there. So out of my desperation at some point, I started listening to the interviews of people who have grown their businesses from like very small ones to ones with teams. And the thing that kept popping up in their interviews, and something that they were attributing their success to, were systems. And I'm just like, well, like, what is that thing? And like, to me, that made sense because, okay, once you have a large team, when you have a suite of products, like, you do need systems. To me, that was obvious. But for the longest time, I could not really see how I can grow my business to the point where I can start using systems. And the realization came once one of the founders mentioned that it was, when she was talking about systems, she was referring to simply kind of the step-by-step, something that she was doing, but a very clear procedure of, okay, like, I'm doing this, then I'm doing that, then I'm doing something else. And then I realized, yes, that I, as a small business and like solo business owner, can use systems too. I can just scale them down to what I need right now, because, okay, like, once I have larger business, like, I can scale those systems up. But while I'm by myself, like, I can start with something very simple, with like very simple routines that work for me. And that's what I started experimenting with, and bit by bit, it started working. So to me, it was just like, okay, like, systems rock. So
systems rock, great for you.
Yeah, in the end, I abandoned. Well, the moment that I realized that, like, this is the key to success and the key to building a business, a solid business, I officially started my business, called it Systems Rock, and I never looked back. So to me, back then, it was out of necessity that I started diving into systems and creating them. So the first systems that I even shared with somebody else were my own systems, and we would like play with how it would look like for somebody else. But when I realized that, okay, I can kind of like step back and look at somebody else's business or the ways they do things and create that step by step for them, I knew that, one, I love doing it, and two, it was something that allowed them to kind of set aside everything else that was crowding their to-do list and just like do that. And once that was done, they could move to something else. And to me, it was a huge realization, but also really great way to help my clients and people I was working with to kind of just like minimize all that pressure and actually start with things that they do on a regular basis, kind of organize like those bits, and then like the rest would follow. And that's what I've been doing ever since. And this was something super rewarding, and I love doing it.
Great. People ask me, how do you recognize your system works? How can they check out if it works?
Sure. Well,
and how to recognize it at the first place?
Well, first of all, when I talk about systems, there are, like, of course, many definitions, but the way I see it as a systems is kind of this very simple step that takes you step by step, that takes you from point A to point B. So it doesn't have to be anything complicated. And when you can replicate that, and when you can get the same outcome out of doing these steps time after time after time, that means that it's a system. And the system, like the best way to check if the system works, if you can give that step by step to somebody else, have them follow those steps, and if they get the same outcome, you are golden.
And then we can employ that one.
that's the thing. And the thing is that when we have these step by steps, and again, it can be very elaborate checklist, but it can be very simple, like how you can create an image for a blog post. It seems to be like very easy, and you can just like give it to somebody else. But chances are, if you didn't give them much direction, they will come back with something that they think is right, but it will not be something that you expect from them, and you will have to redo it. You will have to kind of just like go back and drop everything that you do. Instead, for that just simple thing, you can tell them that, okay, I like images kind of this, like go into kind of the direction, like office, nature, whatever. Then it has to be this size. The border needs to be this way. And in the left bottom corner, you should give the website name, and it should be in this font, and it should be in this color. Then chances are that person will come back with an image, maybe 2 or 3 if you tell them to, that you can choose from, and you can just move on and do something else. So systems can be very, very simple, but when you outline what needs to be done, one, people who work with you will be able to deliver really, really great work, and 2, you will not have, it doesn't have to be the person who has worked with you many years and knows what you do and how you do things. You can just bring somebody on board to help them with this specific project, and they will still do a great job.
No reading minds.
No, that does not work.
And so it's not business specific. You find the system and apply it to everything. I love how you compare kitchen work with business and systems. It's so great. How do we motivate, for example, when we delegate to our associate or something and we give them system, but they still are not working the way we expect, or they are working slower? Is there a system to regulate that? How to motivate them? Do you have such experience? For example, when you give your, let's say, list for how to put an image on a blog, or how to write an article or something, or can we apply this for all systems? How do we found a way to actually give it to anyone, like you said, not someone who worked with us?
Well, it really depends on one, on the strengths of that person. Some people like certain types of tasks, other people like other types of tasks. So when if you have an option to have several people on your team, ask them beforehand what kind of tasks they like doing, because then that piece of motivation will not even be a problem. If they like working with graphics, you know that, okay, like these types of tasks will be better for this type of person. Also, you can check in the very beginning if they can follow directions, if they are that attention oriented, and actually,
or
yeah, you have to, because if it's something important to you, if it's important to you that that person follows your instructions, hire person in the first place that it's easy for who it will be easy to follow instructions, because some people don't pay attention to that. Some people, it's like nothing is wrong with them. It's just like not the way how their brain works.
Differently.
Yes. So if you're looking for somebody who can just simply follow the list of things that you gave them, ask them in the beginning when you hire them, like, how do you feel about following like step by step by step? You can also in the very beginning test that person. It can be part of this process of hiring them. You can give them, again, like super simple tasks, like 3 things, this like checklist. Okay, create this. Here are the steps, create this. And you can see, did they follow directions? Were the directions clear? Was it possible to create what you asked them? Like, so that you can test that in the first place. But then, like, if you know that that person is capable of actually following directions and everything is fine, but they are still not doing it, then it's time for another conversation. What is possible is that there is a better way. So you can, you should also keep that open line of communication with that person and tell them that, okay, if you find that we can do this faster, better, more efficiently, tell me. But then like, that person needs to actually come and tell you the reason I did that, because it's easier this way, or there is like this tool that allows me to do it faster on in a slightly different way. Again, it's just a matter of communication. And if there is like no problem and the person simply is not following directions and not doing what he or she is supposed to be doing, maybe it's time to let them go. But again, like, there needs to be communication from the moment that you know that the step-by-step is clear and this is what you ask them to do, and they still did not follow those directions, and like you've given them warnings, you've asked, you pointed out the deadline, and they're still not doing their job, maybe they're not as interested in having a job.
Yes, probably. And when we found a system that works great, how do we keep it running? How to keep it at its maximal potential? Or should we improve it? You gave me ideas right now. So if our associate finds a better way, so we should implement and test it again?
Well, it does depend on the process. If you do something on a regular basis, you will notice that, like, if something doesn't work or somebody finds a more efficient way of doing this, or maybe your client will request something different and you will find a different way to still do it. So systems that we use or processes that we use on a more regular basis, it's easier to see and kind of reroute when we change direction. Something that we don't do as often, one, it's very important to keep that checklist, because if we do not do that, then every time we do something, we have to kind of remember, like, the steps that we took, recreate that. Like, I know that in the beginning, when I was not doing, for example, webinars very often, or like trainings, every time I need to, okay, like, what pages do I need to create for my site? Where do I actually go? Where do I click in this webinar thing? And it's just like, it takes time. Instead, if like, once I started outlining, like, go here, click there, and sometimes it's kind of just like, oh my God, like, where do I find time to write everything out? You can simply record your screen. It doesn't even have to be step by step, and that's a very easy way to give instructions to your assistant too. Say with images, just the same example that we talked about before. Just simply go through the steps, but record your screen and narrate what you are doing. This way, like, just like, okay, like, I go to this site, I search for the images of like this nature. I like this one because of this. I don't like this one because of that. And like, you give your assistant also, yes, a framework, like how he or she will make decisions when she does this. And then you tell them, okay, like, then I put it into this program, I resize it. Here is the link to the site. Here is the font that I'm using. So this way,
it's in one place.
Yeah, and you can actually take it one step further and ask this person who will be doing that to create a checklist out of your video. You get to, like, they get to practice, they get to actually very attentively watch the video and record the steps. And like, you kill two birds in one stone, because then you have a checklist and you have an assistant who like went and actually recorded that for you and can perform that task very easily.
Amazing, amazing. And it works. You get all the attention and focus on what needs to be done and what steps. And tell me, those systems, they are we can apply them to everything in our work, actually, right? When we go to summer holiday, how you wrote about it last week. What systems do we need to not get all day at the beach with our phone on?
Yeah, that's a really, really great point. Well, first of all, we usually create systems around something that we do on a regular basis. Something that we don't do that often until we actually need to do it often enough, or something like that. Don't even worry about that. Start, if you're just starting to create systems, first look at activities that happen, say, in your business or even in your life on a regular basis, something that happens, say, daily, weekly, monthly. Maybe it will be something yearly, like kids going back to school routine. Like, that can easily be a checklist that you have for yourself. But when it comes to summer and holidays and preparing your business for this vacation season, again, look at what needs to happen while you're away. If you're posting guest posts, make sure that you have guest posts for the period of time when you will be away. Maybe you don't need to write them. Go back and check what previous blog posts received lots of comments and just repost them. Like, write short introduction to the post in your email, for example, and schedule it. So look at other things that need to happen kind of just like while you're away. Maybe it will be social media. Again, pre-scheduling is a really great way to still keep in touch with your audience, but not necessarily be like there all day long. If you have clients, then it will be a decision whether, say, you will have your assistant communicate with them. It does depend on the project. Maybe you will tell your client that, okay, we'll put this on hold for 1 week while I'll be away, but like everything is under control. Like this is what we'll do before my holiday. This is where we will start after. So the client knows what is happening, that like, there is no crisis, everything is okay. So you will be the judge of how to handle that project. Make sure that you block your calendar. So if people can block meetings with, book meetings with you, if you have an online scheduler or something like that, make sure that you block it so nobody can schedule anything with you. And set autoresponder so that people know that you are away and you will be back at the specific date and you will return their email then. It is great to have an assistant or somebody monitoring your inbox, or at least like if somebody has an emergency or something, they can get in touch with your assistant and tell them, okay, like this is it. And that would be last piece of advice from me, is that if you have an assistant and they will be the one keeping an eye on your business, tell them how often you will be checking messages from them, how you will be communicating while you're away. Because again, even though there'll be an assistant handling these things, he or she should not feel that they can call you. You have to set these boundaries. You can tell them that, okay, I will be online between this and this time, like every day, every other day. Like if you need to send you reports or something, like you can communicate that to them too. So sit with yourself and think, one, what needs to happen in your absence, and two, what should be that modality with your assistant if they'll be helping. And lastly, three, how you will be handling client work while you're away, whether you are like putting on hold, or you will be still doing something, or you will be notifying your client that like something will happen in a specific way. Maybe you have a subcontractor who will take care of some things while you're away. Again, but just like sit down and think how you can take care of that while like preserving your sanity, so that you don't need to be on the phone or on your computer all vacation long.
Great. And when we come back from holiday and the overwhelm and overload and all those stories, you taught me many systems for communication, CRM, and how to keep in touch with people without forgetting anything. Always remember. So what do you suggest when we come back from holiday? How to get stress-free back in business?
Well, something that I always recommend my clients is to set aside 2, maybe 3 buffer days after the holidays, so that when you notify somebody that you will be away and you will be away for a week, tell them, you can be straightforward with them and tell them that, okay, like I'll be away for a week, but I will resume like business as usual, say not next Monday, but next Wednesday, so that you have a couple of days to go through your emails, see what needs to happen, so that it's not kind of like you come back and the first day you're back, everybody's bombarding you with questions. Give yourself a couple of days to catch up and make sure that everything that's piled up while you were away, like you sorted out, so that you can start a couple of days later officially like open your doors back for business. But then it's like you are ready, emotionally, you are ready kind of like physically, your business is ready, and the inbox is clean, and like all of that, like everything is prepared. But yeah, again, it all comes back to communication.
Well, sure. And you give them clarity, what do you expect, and set pre-frame what we need to do and what so they have a clear expectation about what actually will happen. And about those expectations, many clients of mine ask me, what shall we do about risk management? Do we have some system to help us to narrow down risks we meet every day? For example, if server goes down, or we have suddenly our site goes down, or we have a huge client that stops working with us. What can we do? Do you have any tips for that?
Well, it hugely depends on the business for sure. Yes, there is absolutely kind of like systems and like those checklists that we have to have for ourselves when it comes to technology, because it's with technology, you know better than I do, it's not whether something will break, it's when it will break. So like we really have to like one have this regular maintenance checks to make sure that everything is up to date, like all those like updates and all of that, but also have some kind of plan be in place where like if the server goes down, like this is what I do. If my account gets hacked, this is what I do. I actually have a blog post about that. I can
Right. Where can people read that? Shall we?
Yes, I'm. You can find like lots and lots of systems on systemsrock.com, and I will give you a link to that specific article. But it's again looking at your business and thinking about the kind of things that might happen, or looking back and seeing what happened in the past that I can actually create better system around, like what crisis happened for me to be better prepared. Mm-hmm. And there will be some crises that we will not be able to foresee, but just like we talked before, it will be about clearly communicating and it's like, okay, my site is down, like everything is fine, this is how we're handling it, these are our like estimation in terms of when we will be back. But when there is this clear communication with your clients and you've been setting like these expectations properly from the very beginning, it should not be a problem. They should be very, very understanding. And like we've talked with you about this, Jelena, too, is that when our projects are based on technology, it is best to be as open with our clients as possible, to say that, okay, like, this is the timeline, but like we'll be testing, there might be bugs, there might be some things, so it is possible that this will take an additional like this amount of time or something, or you can even quote that extra time from the get-go, so that if you deliver it earlier, then it's this pleasant surprise for the client.
Great. Thank you for having such a great conversation and all those advices. And so nice to see you here.
Such a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye-bye, Natasha.
Bye.